Can you hear me? Please give me a hi if you can hear me. All right, great, great. Thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for joining in. Um, some of you might not know me. Let me just introduce myself to you. I'm Leena R. Prabhu. I'm a Pradnya strategist from Mumbai, India. I have people joining in from France. I have people joining in from Germany. I have people joining in from New York. Sonye Kothari has just joined us, our hero of the COVID era. Welcome, Sonye. Uh, I'm going to unmute you in just a bit. Where are you? Where are you? Okay, yeah. Yes, Sonia, I was just welcoming our guests over here and introducing myself. I'm a Pradnya strategist from Mumbai. I'm a spiritual and mental health coach. I mentor people to navigate life skillfully, to live life successfully with all these various challenges that are coming into our lives unexpectedly, and we don't know what to do about it. That's how what's happening now is all this negativity is surrounding us about this COVID virus, and every news is negative, and it's pulling down people, and it's depressing everyone. And but there is good news, there is fantastic news. Things are not so bad. We are fortunate to have Sonye Kothari with us. She's a young lady from New York, and I got to know that she had contracted the virus, and she overcame it very bravely and very fearlessly. And what's most important also is that that Sonye resorted to some Indian treatments because she felt that those would be more effective in healing her. So I'm sure we are all keen on knowing what these treatments are all about, and how Sonye has recovered. So Sonye, welcome. Thank you so much for being on board over here and sharing your insights, your experience with all of us. I think you have muted yourself. Yes, right. Yes.
Nina, thank you so much for giving me this platform to speak to everybody, because it's so important to speak to everybody about the positivity of having the virus. You know, people have only heard about the negative side. People are scared. People are so, like, there's so much fear in everybody's lives. And I'm so fortunate to have, giving me this platform to speak about my journey with everybody.
It's our pleasure. You are enlightening us, and hopefully, whatever fear we have within us, you are going to help us take it out. You are a live example sitting in front of us and sharing your experience. So it is, anyways, your presence is giving us hope for the future. So, Sonia, let me start by asking you, how did you figure out that you had this virus? What were your symptoms?
So unfortunately, I didn't have the normal symptoms. I basically 3 days before I found out that I had the virus, I just had headaches, but those headaches were very different, and I had stomach aches, and I was so confident that I wouldn't be having the coronavirus. I mean, I was super confident because I was quarantined. I didn't meet anybody, so the chances were very negligible. But the day I found out in the morning, there was like my breathing pattern was very different. It was not normal. So I was like, let me just go to this nearest city, Emily, which is like 5 minutes walk. By the time I reached there, it felt like I was gasping for air. And I didn't realize it. At home, I was normal, just with a headache and the stomach ache and a little breathing problem. But when I walked that 5 minutes, by the time I reached there, it actually felt like I was I climbed Mount Everest. I just couldn't, I couldn't control my breathing. I was gasping. And the minute they saw me, they took me right inside, and the nurse came in. She took my vitals. But by the time the doctor came, I think I was so weak, and it just happened so fast. I mean, it just happened so fast. By the time the doctor came, I was already in the patient's chair, and I passed out. And I just remember vaguely telling the doctor when I was looking at her, I think I'm going to pass out. I think I'm not feeling well. I don't know what's going on. I was very claustrophobic. And, at that point, I realized inside me that I may have had I may be prone to having the virus, because the doctor, she didn't even come and hold my hands because they can't. I respect that. So when I regained my consciousness, my doctor came and she said, I'm very sorry to tell you, but you do have corona, you have the virus. And I was so shocked. I said, don't you need to take any test? And she's like, no, clinically, you have all the symptoms. And if I take the test, it's going to take another 7 to 8 days. So by the time it takes 7 to 8 days, you could be spreading this to everybody else. So you need to go home, quarantine yourself. And at that point, I asked her, I said, can you please get another doctor? Because I just want to make sure. It's a big thing, because I didn't know anybody who had it. And I always felt it's a stigma to have it. And I was like, no, I'm not going to have it. But then another doctor came, she checked my lungs, and she said, unfortunately, you do have it. And that's how I found out I had it.
Right, Sonia, you did mention the stigma aspect of it, and which is kudos to you that you're coming on screen and you are, sharing your story with everyone, because it is not something that anybody should be ashamed of or should be anxious about. It is going to be like having a viral flu in the near future. So what did you do? You decided not to admit yourself in the hospital. You decided to go home and quarantine yourself. What was the logic behind it?
So I don't think that was a very natural decision for me at that point, because I'm so used to being in America, having the best medical facilities, and I was so sure, this is the first time. There's no cure, there's no medication, there's no, the doctor is not going to tell you, okay, this is what you have and this is the strategy how we're going to overcome it. So when I came back home, I called up my mom, and she's joined us. So I called up my mom and my sister, and they were the ones who explained to me, there's so much fear in you, you need to calm down. We're going to find out a whole strategy of like how we're going to get you out of this. And going back to my roots, as a child, I did have asthma, and I was treated with my asthma through naturopathy by Dr. Murthy from Jindal. So that was something that I was comfortable. I had my basis in that, but it was not a choice at that time. And I'm so happy I made that choice, because especially in Manhattan at that time, this is 1.5 months ago, there were so many people who were having the virus, and they were admitted to the hospital. We didn't have enough beds. We didn't have enough medical supplies. So at that point, I had friends who are doctors, and they both told me to not go to the ER. So at that point, I decided to just go the natural way.
Right. So you went back home and you locked yourself in your house. And then what was your routine like? What affirmative action did you take?
I think the first thing was, I had like all of you who are here, I did have fear. I was so scared. I was scared of the unknown. I was scared of not knowing. I didn't know anybody who had it. So I didn't have, firsthand information. I called up my doctor. My doctor was like, I can't help you. If you get worse, you need to admit yourself to the ER. But this is where family comes, family and friends and your community. They made sure that I came home and I had a strategy in front of me. And I went the natural way. And in the meantime, I made sure that I had every equipment that I needed to get over this. So it was, I think all of you should get an oximeter, which is the most important thing, that it actually checks your oxygen level. That is the most important thing when you have the virus, because if your oxygen level falls down below 92, 91, it's time to get admitted. And mine did fall to 90 and 89, but I did overcome it being at home. So my routine was, so I'm going to split it into two parts. One is the nutrition part,
Right.
where I was very fortunate that I had my sister-in-law, Ronika Bhabi, who really helped me. And she's a naturopathy healer. And she actually guided me 24 hours, 365 days, what to do. So the
Okay.
first thing she said is, for the first 3 days, please do not eat anything. And I was lucky because I wasn't hungry, but I only had lemon shots every single hour, freshly squeezed lemon shots and freshly squeezed orange juice, 5 glasses of orange juice and coconut water. The reason why she explained to me is because you need all your energy to heal the disease, to fight the virus. So if you're eating and you're going to be using a lot of your energy in digesting. So that's why, to make sure that to have very light liquids. And then I was introduced to soups, but like broth. I'm vegetarian, so like just broth, and then a lot of like vegetables, fruits, and then I had a few grains, but then I restrict myself from sugar. I just didn't have sugar, and a lot of warm water. So either the warm water was with turmeric or it was with black pepper, cardamom, and saffron. Ajwain. I used a lot of ajwain, and I think that really helped me, my appetite, because I mean the nutritions that I followed really helped me, because it gave me a lot of energy. And it, even like today, like I'm well now, I have my energy back. I think the food really helped me. And the part two was the treatments, that the remedies that I used at home. So I was doing a lot of steam inhalation, but in the steam inhalation, I was putting a lot of ajwain, and I was putting a drop of eucalyptus just to help me open up my nostrils. Then I did, as everybody is doing, gargling with hot water with turmeric and salt, a lot of those. And then I did something called hot foot bath twice a day, where I immersed my legs in hot water, and then you wrap yourself with a blanket, and then you just put little chilled water on your head. So it gets the heat in your body. I also had a lot of headaches. I used a lot of ginger powder and in coconut oil, heat it up, and I used to put it on my temples and wrap myself with scarf.
So you
And
did this all by yourself, right?
I did it all by myself because I didn't want anybody else to come into my apartment.
Right.
And where did I get the energy? I don't know. I think it's also, I was physically alone, but mentally and virtually, I was never alone. I was always with either my kids or my ex-husband or my family, my friends. So I never felt alone. At the same time, I was so happy to heal myself alone, because it was a journey by myself. And I had the energy of introspecting. And this is the third thing I would like to talk about, is the first thing I realized today is, when I went to the doctor, when I was scared, when I had fear, I passed out. My whole body gave up on me. So when I came home after speaking to my mom and getting that positivity, I had to change my perception. If I wanted to live, I needed to change my perception. So perception from negativity to positivity was the biggest step for me. And I am a positive person, but it was just saying that I have this. I'm going to take it as a healing journey. And I believe in karma. I really believe, I'm a very spiritual, religious person, and I believe in karma, that whatever is happening because of your own actions and your own deeds from your past life, present life. So I didn't want to really fight it. I wanted to take all the precautions, but I didn't want to fight it. So once you realize that this is um, it's your own actions, you need the positivity. I think it was so much easier for me to just deal with it. I shut the media. I didn't have anything that was negative. I shut it out of my life. I meditated a lot. I, you know, twice a day I meditated. I had my bhabhi who would meditate with me in the morning and in the evening. But if apart from that, I used to have like soothing music going out. I would listen to like Shri Shri Ravi Shankar, anything that gave me the positive vibes. And at the same time, I made this. I have a wall where I have a whiteboard where I wrote all my worries, and I put all on one side and things that I was grateful for. And anything that I was worried about, either I would meditate on that and figure out a solution. And if I needed help, I reached out. I'm always a giver, but this time I took. It was okay for me to take things from people, to take their vibrations. And I had a gratitude journal of all the things that I was grateful about, and that made my journey so beautiful. I mean, I've never thought to thank my cells, my organs, my breath. I mean, in a fast life, when have you really stopped and said thank you for letting me be alive? So, I think that positivity is the number one. Building your community. What does your support system look like? That's number two. And I think being grateful, to have a lot of gratitude for the smallest things to the biggest things, really helps in, going through this journey.
Right. So, who would bring you the food? You needed these supplies, so how would you replenish your stock?
So I think having such a great community and having a family and friends, it was so easy that a lot of my friends and my family put themselves in a group chat, and I would only talk to one person. I would say, okay, I want this, I want this, I want this. And they would just like deliver it. And my doorman, can you imagine people who are working for you? They were so supportive. They would get, like, they were not supposed to get things up, they would put it outside my door, risking their lives. And, every couple of hours they would call me, are you okay? Do you need anything? We can get for you. So I think, when I think it's time for people to get into this community spirit. It just comes. I mean, you can be waiting here and saying, okay, when I fall sick, I'm going to call so and so and so. It doesn't happen that way. The community just comes together. And
And
I
that's
think,
that's because you took the first step of informing people that you have it.
yes,
If you
I
hadn't
think
mentioned it to anyone, I mean, you would have been lost on your own.
I, Lena, I completely agree, because as I started with, there's a big stigma. And I'm talking about 1.5 months ago. I think I was the first one in my building. I was the first one in anybody I know. I was the first one to have it.
Right.
But I feel that if you, it's okay, because it is a virus that I hope none of you get it. But even if you get it, it's a virus. It's the way you treat yourself, the way your attitude. So, and it's not like, even right now, in New York, I mean, you can hide. You don't tell people that you have it. People will never know. We don't have a stamp saying that, okay, I'm a COVID survivor. It's, you don't have any of those precautions. But even if I'm in the elevator and I'm fine right now, I yet will wear my mask and I will tell the other person, I'm sorry, I just recovered from COVID, and I think I want to use the elevator by myself, because you want to be a responsible citizen also.
Right.
You
Right.
know, there's so,
There have been cases in India over here where people have gone into a relapse. They have contracted the virus again. So these are the precautions you're probably taking to protect yourself from any further invasion.
I completely agree. So, it's a very unknown sector. Even in China, it's only been 3 months. So people who have survived, they only have that much data of 3 months. People are speculating there's going to be phase two. How is it going to be? Are you going to get it back? What are your, even if you have antibodies, does that help? But I think going back to all that, I have just realized that though I think I'm a fit person, I'm a healthy person, I took it for granted. I'm taking all my steps now to make a better impact of my health. That's number one for me. I'm meditating every day. I am starting to exercise. I'm yet trying to eat healthy. But the most important thing, I am keeping stress away from my life. I don't need that stress. Anything that is stressful is going to make your immune system low. The minute your immune system is low, you're going to be catching anything, not just this virus, anything. And
Right.
I think it's also very, very important to have, people only talk about the physical aspect of life, the mental aspect. You
Yes,
know,
that's what I want to come to, because the mental and the emotional aspect, how did you deal with that?
I think that, again, I have a forum, and in my forum, I have one of my closest friend. She's a mentor. She's my coach, and I think again that's it's such a stigma. Even being in being an Indian, I would say, not really being in America. That's helped me, out here. That it's okay to have a mentor or a coach or a health coach or a
Right.
life coach or a business coach. It's
Tell
not
me
because
about it. Tell me about it. I've been practicing for 27 years in Mumbai, and people are still not open to having a mentor or a coach who can guide you and hold your hand. But it's good you've brought this subject up, so you can mention what role your mentor played in your life.
I think, you always have your parents as your mentor. You will have, your family always there for you. But there are certain issues or things that it's easier to talk to somebody who's very neutral and who has that experience and their expertise in that field. So for me, I'm again very transparent. I have a business coach, I have a mental coach, and I also have, when my kids were much younger, I was a very young mom. I wanted to be a best mom. So I also had like somebody who coached me for my kids. And it's made such a big difference in my life because their perspective is very different. They see things, you see things in a different way. Your family will see it in a different way, but a mentor will always look at the holistic side.
Right,
They're very neutral and they will tell you. So
right.
even while going through my journey, it was a whole roller coaster of emotions. There were days when I just cried and I felt so bad because I cried to my mom. She's so far away, and I just didn't know how to open up and say, "There's nothing. I'm just like, I don't know why I'm crying." So, and I also had my mentor, my coach, who I used to speak on a daily basis. She would check in on me to just make me understand that it's okay to have these emotions. You're cleansing yourself. My mom said, "This is a beautiful thing you're crying because you're cleansing physically, emotionally, and mentally and spiritually."
Okay, right. I think we are running out of time over here. Okay, we have 9 minutes exactly. So anybody wants to ask a question can raise their hand and I will unmute them very quickly. Anybody wants to ask Swanye any question?
How long did your illness last?
Um, Almost 4 weeks, 3.5, 4 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
And now, did you do another test to find out if it is over, or
Yeah, so I did another test and it was negative.
after 4 weeks?
Yeah, after 4 weeks.
Okay. So
Right.
you're feeling good now?
I would say I am getting better day by day, stronger day by day, but the breathing is yet not 100%.
Okay. And did you have any runny nose, cold, cough, any symptoms like that?
Not initially, but then I was one of those fortunate people who didn't have a cough. I had a very little cough, but what I had was I had low grade fever. But one night I did have a high grade fever and I had hallucinations. So just one night, just one.
Okay.
Can I ask?
So all the
Can I
best.
ask her something, Swagli? Can I ask you?
Sure,
Yes,
Kaku.
Yeah, hi, I'm Kehkashan Patel. So I want to ask Swag that did you ever feel that I should give in to antibiotics and take that support which was so right next to you? So what was the strength in you that you didn't give in to antibiotics or any kind of medication allopathy? How did you find that strength to stick and hold on to naturopathy?
That's such a good question, Kaku. So the reason why I went back to naturopathy is because there's no known like no medication has been said that okay, if you take this, there's no vaccinations, there's nothing 100%. So why would I put that in my body? And I had the support system of my family who could really count on me and tell me, listen, try this, have faith in it. And I really have faith because that's what I was cured with my asthma as a kid. So that's exactly what went back to my roots. And that's the only reason why I did naturopathy. And I think when I speak to more and more people who have survived, they find it very strange. I didn't even take Tylenol for my headaches or my body aches.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing willpower.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think willpower.
Yes. I mean, I
Proud
think
of you.
you were being guided by some divine force to do whatever it is that you did.
So I would like to add one more thing, Lena, because all of you, I would want you to know that collective meditation, collective praying, it definitely helps. I mean, I have Kehkashan Patel and I have my mom. They both prayed for me. Kaku would pray every day her namaz for me. My mom prayed. Like I had friends who would just call up and say, "We just want to pray with you," or "We want to meditate with you." So that really helps. Vibrations help. It's also the vibrations you bring to yourself, to your family. In the end, it does help.
Right. So a positive mindset and you can do it kind of an attitude is what got through you basically. Besides the medication and the support system, it was your emotional strength, your inner strength, which, how deep did you have to dig in to get your inner strength?
I think it's also telling yourself, I want to live.
Right.
I want to live. Like, why? I mean, there are a lot. I mean, why don't I want to live a beautiful life? My organs have always been supportive. They are yet going to support me. So the idea of like not giving up to like not living, because a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm scared, and they don't want to live. I want to live.
Right.
So I think that getting the inner strength and having the support system, seeing your kids every day, you want to live for them, you want to live for your family, you want to live for the world.
Right.
So I think that's where my inner strength really came from.
Okay. Great. Any other questions? Would anybody else like to ask any questions to Swanye? So I guess this is it. Swanye, yes, Shakun, let me unmute you.
No, I was just, since no one else is asking, I'm sorry I came a little late. I believe you've just had the COVID. Is that what it is?
Yes.
I mean, I was able to kind of, it just, was it as hard as people say, or was it rather easy for you? Depending, of course, it's all upon you. I mean, there are some people who can't bear little pain, and there are some people who can handle a lot. Which type are you, and how did you handle it?
So I would say I'm a very strong person.
Oh, okay.
And how bad was my virus? I would say twice I thought I was going to get, I mean, if I was in India, I would have been definitely hospitalized. But in New York, I had the willpower to stay home and heal myself. So I will not say it was an easy journey, but it's a journey that I've, like literally, it's a journey that I've left behind. And but at that point, I mean, at that point, it was difficult. Every day was like trying to like tell myself, okay, tomorrow's going to be better. There's light after the tunnel. There's so many survivors, and then I shut the news. I didn't know how many people were dying. I mean, there were a lot of deaths, but today I see myself as, oh, I had it very easy compared to so many people who were already dying, like in the hospital. So it's very relevant, but it's very important to make your mindset like, the first time only I asked my mom, why me? And my mom said, you know what? Let's not focus on why me. Let's focus on how do I get this out? How do we help you? So I think that, most of the times you always putting your mind as a victim,
Right.
When people say why me, I always say why not me. I mean,
Yes. So, Sonia is open to any further questions later on also. In the chat box, I have put my email address. Anyone wants to ask any further questions, you can please take down the email address, and I will make sure that I forward your questions to Sonia. And I think we have to wrap up now. We have only 2 minutes left. Sonia, thank you so much. I wanted to bring up the slide, but I'm not sure how to do the screen sharing bit. Let me just try once more.
So Leena, while you're trying, I just want to thank everybody. Thank you so much for listening to my journey, and I wish you all the best. Please be safe. Please wash your hands, and at the same time, just be positive. Anything that is negative, don't even entertain it right now. You have my email address. I mean, whatever way you can reach me, you're not alone. We're all in together. That's my just little message for all of you.
Right.
And
so
thank you, Leena.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on board, and we will be in touch. I want to know more. So these are all the things that Swani did for the nutrition. If you want, you can just take a screenshot of it. And I will be posting this whole conversation on my YouTube also for people who are not able to make it today, or who might want to benefit from this conversation tomorrow at a later date. So these are the things that Sonia did, and a lot more she discussed also. And these are for the mental and emotional health. These are what the things that Sonia has done. Somebody is on. Somebody is on mute. Right. So can we wrap it up now? Sonia dear, thank you so much.
It was love to be with you all.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Leena. Thank you, Swag.
Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much for being with us. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Rima.
Thank you.